Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. Listener discretion is advised. Typically, the biggest question in life is the meaning of life. What is beyond the physical sense of life? It's no secret that on this show, I have leaned a lot into the paranormal and to the unexplained. Largely because from an autobiographical standpoint, I'm looking for answers of my own. In this episode, we go one step beyond, and my guest gives me a tarot card reading on the show. She is an actual witch. She is a paranormal investigator and so much more. I'd like to welcome Katie Webb to the show today. This is a lot of fun. Listen closely and check your skepticism at the door. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Caught on the Mic. Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined by my friend Katie Webb. She is a witch. You heard that right. I said a witch, a paranormal investigator. And you're going to have to correct me on that, what that word is again.
Divination.
Divination enthusiast. You're going to have to explain what divination is, because I think that's dope.
Sure.
Thanks for being here today. Most of you might recognize her from her work on the web series Haunt Me, where she was recognized for blending witchcraft and divination in with traditional investigation methods. How are you doing today?
I am doing amazing.
That's awesome. I'm great. I'm great. Yeah? I've been looking forward to this, just so our audience understands. And I love the fact that you were totally understanding about this because you're also a parent. But we had this scheduled for a few days ago, and then kid shit happened, and that's life,
As
right?
As it does. Yeah.
So Katie, why don't you tell my listeners a little bit about yourself and kind of what brought you to where you're at right now?
Yeah, cool. Hey, so I was on Haunt Me for like 7 or 8 years. I think I'm technically on like 7 episodes, 7 seasons, not episodes. that would be much less exciting.
Right.
Yes. And I use tarot cards specifically as my form of divination to talk to ghosts, and it kind of started as to like kind of unlock some of the secrets of the ghost so we could have more of a conversation. So like I would pull cards and I'd be like, okay, so there's like a man and a woman and there was something like tumultuous happening between you. And I would kind of like reiterate their story back to them as it came up with tarot cards. And it really like worked really well to like gain trust and collect evidence and things like that. So that kind of spiraled a lot of things for me. Bringing in more witchcraft practices, making altars on site to communicate and like just kind of like create like energy areas and things like that for spirits and people in the homes that we would go to. But yeah, I'm a horror movie enthusiast. I am no longer on the Haunt Me TV web series. It is still going. So if you love, ghost hunting, keep going with them. But now I'm just kind of focusing on the divination aspect of my life, and I'm mashing it together with horror movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up. You are a fun social media follow because of this. You actually tie horror movies into astrological signs. And I think that's really interesting. Kind of tell my listeners a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I call them horoscopes because that's cheeky and cute. And so what I do is, we have 12 zodiac signs. So what I'll do is I'll pull 2 cards for each sign. And I usually do it for like a moon period. So like a full moon or a new moon. So I'm like, all right, what is like Aries, what's coming in for Aries for the full moon? So then I pull 2 cards, I get a little mini reading, and let's say it's like, oh, you're going through you've been through some hard times and like you're coming out on top, like you're a survivor. And, I might think, hey, Texas Chainsaw Massacre sounds a lot like that, So then instead of like describing the cards, I'll describe the movie. And so you just have to like get it as a metaphor.
Right.
Or you don't. Or you don't. Like, whatever. Just have fun.
So what came first for you? Did you have a personal paranormal experience in your younger years, or were you always into the macabre and then the paranormal experience kind of just landed in your lap?
Yep. Paranormal experiences came to me. Haunt Me came to me entirely. I was working at a record store with one of the creators of the show, and they were like, hey, you're a witch. I would love to have a witch on my ghost hunting team. Do you want to make a show with us? And I was like, I've never been ghost hunting, but yeah. And then that was it.
So what would you say has been your most terrifying paranormal experience so far?
I have a lot. It's funny because sometimes, like, as an investigator, you'll like go into buildings and stuff and you'll be like, ooh, it like feels like scary and creepy in here. And you can kind of like let your mind spiral in many directions when you're in old, like abandoned buildings and things like that. But I don't know, over the years, I've really like learned that a lot of like that upfront really like, I don't know, gnarly kind of scary behavior is really more of like a protective thing on like their end. So I'm not like, I kind of obviously as a horror movie enthusiast, I like to like go into buildings and kind of like tease my team and be like, imagine if something just like crawled around that corner over there. Like, but the actual ghosts and stuff like aren't really scary. Like sometimes you'll like get an EVP that's like, get out or something like that. But I don't know, like they don't do anything.
That makes a lot of sense. So
yeah,
the second episode of my show, and I don't know if you've spent any time looking at my show or checking it out, but
a little bit, yeah.
I cover absolutely everything. I've got everybody from MMA stars to musicians to, but my second episode was with my very good friend, Johnny Hauser, and Johnny is the caretaker of the Villisca Axe murder house.
Oh, sick.
So we recorded in the most haunted room of that house, in the bedroom. And I've told this story a few times, and I've told the story on this podcast a few times. It is the only episode where I've had such technical troubles in the editing process that I had to actually edit it line by line because I was having volume spikes. It would get really loud and then really quiet and then really loud, then really quiet throughout the entire episode. Now, here's the funny part. It was only doing it on my audio. It wasn't doing it on Johnny's audio.
Weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah. So
like that's like unexplained stuff like that is so fun.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
So are you to that point in the summer right now where you're like, fuck the summer. I'm ready for the fall already. Let's bring on the Halloween season and let's make this happen, right?
Pretty much. I don't fare too well in the heat, but I am a swimmer. I love to swim. I live in Maine. Yeah. I live like on the ocean. We get like 2.5, 3 months of summer. It's like real short here.
So where I was going with that was, do you find that there are certain times of the year where paranormal experiences are a little bit more prominent than other times of the year? Or is it a year-round thing?
It's definitely a year-round thing, for sure. But, there's always that talk of like the veil thinning, right? Like we hear about that around Halloween specifically. If you're a witch, you know that it also happens in spring. They're literally like the poles of one another. So when it happens on one end, it happens on the other. And so there is that talk of like certain veils kind of like thinning. And I kind of subscribe to some really like weird ideas, like about like interdimensionality and things like that. And those like veils thinning kind of like really like play into those kind of things. Cause when you investigate, you experience a lot of different types of hauntings. You get like the ones that like give you the words and kind of interact with you, but then you get the residual ones that are just like this like weird loop of energy. And that's interesting in itself. But then you get ones where like you'll get like the concrete, like whatever you think that is, like concrete evidence of like something being there, but then it will never be there again.
Right.
You've only caught it once. People go into this building over and over again and they've never caught it. And I kind of like feel like those kinds of things are those like weird little overlays, those interdimensional like overlays. So if you kind of like think about it that way, yeah, sure. Like maybe Halloween and like, Beltane are like really like thin, times of the year where we can kind of experience those other dimensions a little bit easier.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
It's weird how pop culture and science are kind of starting to run in tandem with one another.
Yes.
I'm fresh off of just last night. I finally pulled the trigger and watched the new Doctor Strange movie, and I found it less. I
haven't watched it.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. I found it to be less of a Marvel movie and more of a Sam Raimi movie.
Yes,
and
I love it.
Absolutely love that. And the funny thing is I know that, from the nerd perspective, I know they're trying to figure out ways to work characters that they didn't own before back into their movies because they own them now. But this whole multiverse type concept is nothing new to anybody that is familiar with things like transcendental meditation, sleep paralysis, different types of things like what we're kind of talking about in the paranormal, like other dimensions, other realities. And so it's really weird how the pop culture is starting to catch up with some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Albeit unintentionally.
Yeah. Well, and who is doing a really good job of it too, and maybe intentionally, but Stranger Things.
Yes.
Stranger Things is killing it.
Yes.
Especially this season.
Yes.
The introduction of music to this season is on point and fucking phenomenal, in my opinion. I was like, they get it. Oh my God.
What? And you would probably know this because you are from the Northeast, but the Stranger Things is actually based on 3 scientific things that have the Montauk Project.
Yep.
The MK Ultra Project.
Yeah.
And then you tie it to a third one that's going on right now, CERN's Large Hadron Collider, which scares the ever-living shit out of me, if you want to know the truth.
I'm really into it, I'm not going to lie.
So am I. So this whole thing of the Mandela effect and 2012 and it syncing up with when the Large Hadron Collider got turned on, it scares the living shit out of me. And it is like... It is this black hole that you can get into on YouTube. Friends, look it up if you don't want to sleep for the next week.
It's endless. It's endless. Especially on TikTok. TikTok's grabbed on the Mandela effect in a big way.
Yeah.
In some cool ways and in some really uncool ways, but it's fine.
Right. And you just teed me off for a great question. How do you weed out the minutia between what you actually believe versus what's actually fictionalized or pushed into a hyper reality because the fiction around it is more entertaining than the truth?
Yeah. So you got to be grounded. You like literally can't be looking for something else to solve your problems. And I see that a lot with divination clients and just people in the new age community in general. They are looking to find something to solve their problems. And it's like nothing else can solve your problems for you. Sorry, but you have to like deal with your own like stuff. And so once you like get like a really like grounded view on like who you are, you can see through like bullshit so much easier.
Right.
And then sometimes it's just really obvious. Like I saw this girl on TikTok being like, there's a new Mandela effect and it's the song Sweet Dreams by Annie Lennox. And she's like the lyrics used to say, I can't even say this without laughing. She said, the lyrics used to say, sweet dreams are made of these. And now it says, sweet dreams are made of this. And I'm like, girl, it's always been sweet dreams are made of this. Like, just because you don't know the lyrics to something doesn't mean it's a Mandela effect. So, yeah. And it's kind of like, all those little syncs, like looking for the angel numbers every day. 1111. I saw 1111. Something often is going to happen. If that helps you, more power to you. But like at some point, you got to do it yourself. So like, don't get too deep. Don't get too deep.
Right. There's a great TV show. And I'm sure you've seen it. Have you ever seen the show Psych?
No, I know about it.
Okay.
But I have never seen it.
So the premise of the show is this guy, the character's name is Sean Spencer, and he has really heightened sensitivity and heightened emotional intelligence. So heightened that he has fooled everybody around him into believing that he's a psychic. But that's just because he has very good intelligence and can read situations really well. So the police department uses his psychic abilities to solve crimes. So when you're talking about the New Age community, how do you weed through people that have legitimate abilities and legitimate gifts versus somebody that just has really good emotional intelligence?
It's tough. That is really tough because somebody with really good emotional intelligence can give you a really good tarot reading.
Right.
Honestly, a lot of divination is just like us accessing our subconscious anyway. So somebody with really good emotional intelligence can just kind of do it.
Right.
Like, and I kind of find like, I don't know, as a reader, I've gotten better at that. Like sometimes I can kind of even predict how the reading's going to go before I even flip over the cards because I've gotten so good at being able to kind of like just perceptively read the people in front of me. But I mean, I also do readings on the internet when I don't meet anybody at the same time. So,
right.
A huge thing, a real psychic will absolutely never, ever, ever reach out to you and tell you that you need a tarot reading or that you need their services, which is like, if there actually was a article published on Vice today about all the scammers on Instagram specifically, but probably TikTok too, I'd imagine, they'll like take someone's whole like personality. They'll steal their pictures. They'll just change like one letter of their like name. And then they'll message you and they'll be like, you need this reading from me. No real psychic in the world would ever, ever, ever do that. That is a scam. Always.
What about unsolicited readings where somebody says, hey, listen, I had this vision of you and these are the details. Like, how does that differ?
It's tough. Sometimes somebody can like feel so compelled because they saw you in like a dream or something and they can feel so compelled to reach out to you. The big difference is they won't be looking for compensation.
Right.
There will be no need of anything from you to them. So if they're really honestly just giving you some advice or whatever, they're not going to want anything from you.
Yeah.
After that. Yeah.
That totally makes sense. And
yeah,
I would be remiss to not say that I have some people within my inner circle that have experienced that, but it has been, I would say 70% accurate whenever this person has reached out to them. So it's one of those things. Well, it's unsolicited. They're not looking for anything in return. They're just basically, hey, your loved one reached out to me. This is what the messages they have for you today. And I'm getting these visions of this, this, and this. How does this correlate?
Yeah. I mean, you can do with that what you will, if it feels right, it feels right. But if it doesn't, you don't have to believe what somebody else told you, the cool thing about humans is that we all live in our own little realities. We're all each our own dimension, right? And we all I like to use color blindness as this like example, because it's like if you've grown up colorblind and you're taught the color orange, your color orange and my color orange are totally different. But like it's like that with like words and like feelings. Like I may have like, a certain idea of the word despair, but maybe you feel it differently than I do or something like that. Like we're all our own little like realities. So you can kind of choose if you want to really let it in or not, and really let it affect yours or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? I've been pretty frank with my stance on spirituality, where I don't know what I believe these days.
Yeah.
I'm at that season of life, right?
Nice.
I'm like, I'm not an atheist. I don't believe we just turn into worm food. I believe there is a higher explanation for why we're here. I just, as a mortal being, I don't feel like I can define it. It's not my station in life to try and define it right now. Mm-hmm. So you do a lot of readings at places like paranormal conventions and, maybe occupationally to a certain extent. What is the belief aspect amongst people that come and visit you?
All over the board. Over
Right.
the board. I get the skeptics that come and, they're like, you're going to hell. And I'm like, already there, baby. Already there.
Yeah, the world ended. Don't you know
what to tell you?
Mandela effect, CERN, Hadron Collider. The world has already ended in 2012, everybody. We're in hell.
Yeah, we're like, you watch the show Lost, we're already there, baby.
Right.
And then, I'll get the people that are skeptics, but they're like, what can you do?
Right.
And I'm like, all right, let's go. Let me show you. And then there's people that want to like talk to another realm. There's people looking for certain answers. A lot of people like to come to tarot to ask hard questions that they can't really make a decision on. And so those are kind of my favorite because those are really like practical uses of divination. And like, why not? We got the cards here, like, let's go. But we don't really like, the cards are really self-focused. So they're all like archetypes basically for life, and they just help you access like your subconscious and like what you should do. And, sometimes like when I'm giving a reading, like, sometimes I'll get different visions of you, places, and doing things like that. But for the most part, the cards are just here to like really help you like grow your soul,
For sure.
Yeah. So we don't really get too much into spirituality. So I don't necessarily know how people like feel. But the ones that feel negatively about it do let me know the most.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Yes.
It was kind of a blink and you missed it moment, but you mentioned the subconscious. And one thing I didn't add to where my thought process has changed, I put a lot of more personal investment in what happens in my dreams. Like,
Ooh,
yeah. This is the first time I've ever actually said this out loud or told anybody this out loud. But I generally believe that the spiritual realm happens in our sleep. Like, we can, I feel to a certain extent that we can travel interdimensionally in our sleep. We think about this. You always, when you have a loved one that's passed on, where do they talk to you at? Generally in your dreams. You have a premonition about something. Where does that happen at? Generally in your dreams. So I have put a lot of investment in that, and that's and because I'm getting old, I have put a lot more value in my sleep because it is such a peaceful sentiment, and I do feel like I get a lot more of my personal story through that subconscious and through that spiritual realm in my sleep, if that makes any sense.
Makes 100% sense. And imagine how much more you could gain if you meditated on a regular basis.
Right?
Whoa. Whoa.
So funny that you mentioned that. That's kind of become a part of my sleep sleep habits now is as I'm going to sleep, I usually put on some binaural beats, close my eyes, and exactly what you're saying there. So, yeah, we're speaking
that is how you gain control. And like, that's like the first step to astral travel.
Right.
Yeah. You're on your way.
So this is the fun part. If you're ready, I'm ready. I have never had my tarot cards read before.
Oh, well, I just happen to have some here.
Oh, well, hey.
Oh, wow.
Would you look at that?
Would you look at that?
So, of course, this is an audio-only experience. So Katie's going to kind of explain this as she's doing it. This is totally exciting. I know people that I've told about this episode that are looking forward to listening to it just for this reason, because they want to hear about my dumbass. So away we go.
Away we go. All right. I'm shuffling. Oh, I'm sorry if you can hear the sirens.
That's convenient.
Yep. I live in between a hospital and a fire station, so they're fairly unavoidable.
No, I was just saying you're about to read my tarot cards and a siren goes off.
Here we go.
Yeah, chances are when we're done recording, I'm going to kick it.
I pulled the death card. Okay, let's see. So, fun fact, I'm using Rachel True's deck. This is a new tarot deck created by the actress Rachel True. We know her best probably from The Craft. Yes. She's a real live witch. That's why she was cast in The Craft. Probably also why she was cast as Mary Jane in that other one.
Yeah.
Hey.
I just watched Half Baked about 3 weeks ago. Oh, yeah. I was in a really bad mood. And if I ever want to cheer myself up, Dave Chappelle does it every single time.
That movie is so good.
Yeah, it is.
Classic. You know what my favorite stoner movie is How High with Method Man and Redman, actually.
Yes.
I am a big believer that movie should be Criterion Collection. It is so
good. Here's how good of a parent I am. I just turned my 13-year-old and 15-year-old on to Friday. And they spent a whole weekend watching Friday, next Friday, and Friday after next. And even by the end of the weekend, both of them were saying, man, those second two suck, Dad. But the first one was awesome.
Hey, the second two, you know,
he had to keep it going.
They have some moments. They have some moments.
For sure.
All right. I'm going to shuffle one more time and then I'm going to pull some cards. Do you have anything that's specific that you want them to say?
No.
Or want to talk about? Yeah. That's more fun this way. For this purpose. All right. So I didn't really, usually when I shuffle the cards, I kind of know what I'm going to do. I didn't really decide like what we're going to do here, but like usually when I'm shuffling, I know the spread that I'm going to use. I know how I'm going to lay out the cards, but I kind of didn't really plan that. So we're just going to fly by the seat of our pants here. So usually the first card is the card that describes you in this moment right now. And you got the Six of Swords inverted. So the Six of Swords in this card, we see someone being carried above a sea of swords by birds. And the Six of Swords is in the Thoth deck, it's science, and there's other decks, but it's usually things that are once broken apart being put back together. So it's like a healing card. And something we know about swords is that it's an air suit. And so air is the suit of our mind, our intelligence, our ideas. So usually it's like something fell apart, whether it was a belief system or, you know, sometimes it's like projects, like creative projects that we're thinking about that kind of fall apart, but now they're being put back together. But our card's inverted here today. So it's going to be happening a little slower than you would like. And probably require a little more effort on your part in order to really get yourself across this lake of swords.
Fair enough.
But celebration is coming. So the next card is it's technically like, it would technically be your obstacle if I was going to really do like a long 10 card reading, but those are like 2 hours long. So
Right.
we're just going to do a silly one today. So the next card we've got is your Three of Cups. Three of Cups, in every deck, you'll see three people like cheersing with cups in their hand. So cups is the suit of emotions. It is the suit of relationships, creativity. It's water. And three is a celebration in this case. So it's usually people like, partying a little bit. We're seeing three people. So it's like, we think about numerology, we're moving beyond pairs. We're moving beyond this need for a partner and this need to feel like we can't do it on our own. And there's all these like celebrations coming, especially when we start. So now, as I get talking, I'm bringing in the first card that we talked about. So the celebrations are coming because you have come this long way with this new way of thinking and this new way of kind of approaching life. And as you continue to go on, you're going to be taking on too many projects. I pulled the 10 of Wands. The 10 of Wands we often see on cards like people carrying all these wands and they're like kind of like dropping them sometimes. And you're just like, you're taking on a lot of things. And here on this deck, we have, what is this? Like a beetle. Obviously the beetle has like some occult symbolism. In this case, it's probably about, look at like you're in the center of it. So it's probably about more transformation. But with wands, it's the fire suit. So this is like, you're now transforming, you're going from transforming the way you think about things to the way that you do things. So you're like, you've kind of changed. I like your face there. So it makes sense?
I'll explain when we're done.
Okay. Okay. So it's like your mind happened first. You got excited about it. And now you're changing the way that your actions are presenting. And this is like a really passionate change. Like wands is our fire suit. So if we get into spirituality, it comes from our root chakra. It comes from our sacral chakra. It comes from the place of feeling safe, a place of sexuality, like the fiery passions of life. So the way that you're going forward is something that feels like right, like in your soul. But the ability to take on too many things at once and kind of drop things around and it being a little chaotic is absolutely a possibility.
Wow.
And if we're going to get a little more descriptive and a little more specific. Oh yeah. Okay. I pulled the devil. So here on the devil card, we see two people chained up. Those are the people from the lovers card. The lovers represents, it can represent partnership, but it represents two pieces of ourselves. So we have like dichotomous energy in ourselves and we can look at it as bad and good if you want, but like, those terms are so boring. They're more about like our darkness that like we're having a hard time accepting and the parts of us that we love to show people. And so here, those things about yourself are in chains and they're being held by the trickster, the devil, something that it's like somebody has some sort of hold over, like your approval, like you seek someone's approval specifically, and it's keeping you from fully expressing yourself and being true to exactly who you are and your needs. But have no fear. The 7 of Cups is encouraging you to keep dreaming. So this card, often we see like clouds, like people in the sky. Here we see all of these different objects in each one of the cups, because you're dreaming of all of the different possibilities. And even though sometimes these dreams of all the different things that you want to do and these different possibilities can be like overwhelming, and you can kind of drop them from time to time, that is part of the process. This dreaming big is part of connecting with those parts of yourself that kind of feel like they're chained, or kind of feel like, they're, I don't want to, I'm too old for that, or, I'm not right for that, or like all of that's no. Keep dreaming, dream big, and let go of this. I can't because.
Right.
If that's what you want to do, you're supposed to be doing it right now. And so unchain yourself.
Wow. Ooh, you got me a little bit speechless, and I'm a hard guy to shut up.
Okay, good.
Wow. So can I kind of put some of this into context?
Please. Yeah, please.
Okay. So this is me revealing a little bit of my personal life that I don't typically reveal on the show, but I have talked about it in the past. I am a huge advocate for mental health, and I'm a huge advocate for like you taking care of yourself. 2021 was harder on me, probably the hardest year I could remember since I was a kid.
Wow.
I had some major career changes. I had a lot of things going on. The podcast was starting to do well. I was balancing things like work. I was balancing the podcast. I had a bunch of traumatic things happen at my day job. I had a flood. I had mass, like a lot of turnover in the workplace. So it put a lot of stress on me. So it caused me to have to prioritize things in a much different way than I was wanting to prioritize them. Okay. So backing up, the culmination of all of these things and all of these stressors basically led me down a path where I came very close to a nervous breakdown almost a year ago, exactly a year ago. So for the first time since I was a kid, I got on sertraline. I got on an SSRI to kind of help me out. Okay. 3 weeks ago, I decided, after kind of feeling numb and feeling chained up, you getting where I'm going?
I get it. I
was to a place where I'm just like, okay, I feel okay to start weaning myself off of this now and resume my sense of normalcy to a certain degree. So I started to dose down a little bit, and it was like right before we went to Colorado that I started. And of course, when you're coming off of those antidepressants, you get withdrawal symptoms. You have this roller coaster of emotions, and I have been dealing with that for 2 weeks. Okay. But in the past 3 days, shit you not, the past 3 days, and this is crazy how this all correlates. And you know what, skeptics, you can say that I chose to read this into us, but this is
part
with me.
Of it. That's like kind of part of it, though, But the past 3 days, I've felt a sense of my ambition come back that hasn't been there for a long time. So I've started to go a little bit more all in on this podcasting endeavor. I'm starting to reprioritize my health, and I'm kind of starting to feel myself go back to a little bit of the old me pre-pandemic, just in the past 3 days. Now it's still been a roller coaster of emotions. I mean, like yesterday I watched the tribute to Bob Saget on Netflix, and I bawled. Crying. Yeah, for sure.
But it's just, while you were doing this reading, I was just like, okay, no. And then it's like, holy shit, it all ties. So this
I love
is amazing.
The 3 of Cups and the 3 days too. That's like
that was the weird. That's the weird part. That is the really weird part, because I'd say 3 days ago I was kind of a wreck. And then the next day I was like, I spent half the day feeling really good and half the day feeling kind of crummy. And then yesterday I started to feel a little bit more normal. And today I woke up with a sense of ambition that I haven't had in a long time. And so it makes sense. It tracks.
Yes. I pulled a card real quick because I was like, all right, we need a future one. We need one that doesn't apply just yet. And I got the 3 again of this time. This is like a money-making card though, but it's a hard-working card. So it's like, you're not quite like there yet, but like keep going, keep doing what you're doing. The money is coming in. Just keep putting in your efforts into where you're going right now.
Holy cow. This is amazing. This is dope. This is dope. So is this what you do for a living these days?
I don't anymore. I do offer random readings. So I have a Patreon and you can be a subscriber. And I offer readings to my Patreons first. And then if they don't take all of my time that I have available, then I'll offer them to the public. But I rarely offer them to the public because they're usually taken up by my Patreons. But you know, I'm like a mom. I have a full-time job too. I sell weed as my full-time job. And so, you know, it's like hard to like have the time to like read tarot for people. I like to do like nice 2-hour readings where we get really in depth. But when I have time, I put it out there and they're like $50, you know.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's next for Katie?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, now that things are, you know, we're pretending things are normal.
For now,
despite the rising COVID numbers,
right?
I'm trying to step out there. I'm trying to like do a little more investigating. Like I like to go to places that I have to get permission to investigate. I don't really love the abandoned building. I've encountered too many humans in those places that are dangerous. So I don't really like love to do that. So I'll be doing a little more investigating, which will bring more tarot readings for people and more horoscopes. All the horoscopes.
Awesome. That's awesome. So where can my listeners find you online?
Oh, I wish that I had done a really easy thing and I'd be just like all this with this one place you can find me, but I have a million different names. So Instagram, if you go to Instagram, I'm Ghost Quartz, but it's like GHVSTQUVRTZ. And then there's a link tree to other podcasts I've been on, my website. I make divination decks. I'm in the process of making one right now called Gravestoned, which is going to be really cute. A little pun on, you know, weed and also graveyards and ghosts. So yeah, I have a website and all kinds of, I'm on Twitter. I'm on TikTok. Yeah. You can find me all over the place. So
listeners to my show, you find a lot of these episodes through social media. I will have Katie tagged and linked specifically on Instagram. So give her a follow her link tree. We're friends now, right?
Yeah, we are. We're friends now.
We're friends for life. I give you a tarot reading.
We're friends now.
So will you come back and do the show again?
Yeah, we should do a follow-up.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for making all the time to do this. This was a lot of fun. I can't wait for everybody to hear this, especially the people that know me intimately, because they're going to be blown away. Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. Like, this has been so fun.
Oh, it's been a blast. Katie, the world is a better place with you in it. Thank you.
Hey.
Once again, I would like to thank Katie Webb for joining me on the show today. That was fantastic. We are an hour and a half removed from me recording that episode, and I still have goosebumps. You can check her out by going to my Instagram page. Look for Caught on the Mic. Look for the graphic of this episode, and I have tagged her in that graphic. Go to her Instagram, follow her, check out her link tree, and show her some love. She has a Patreon. It's awesome. While you're cruising your social media, make sure you give Caught on the Mic a follow on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, or wherever your favorite social media exists. You can also find me at www.caughtonthemic.com. I've got stickers and business cards now, and I've got some merchandise coming soon. This has been Caught on the Mic with Michael Clark. I'm Michael Clark. Until next time, thank you